What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Sam, and today we're going to be talking about negotiating your salary. Now, this is going to be a non-technical video, but I think it's a video that a lot of people will get a lot of value out of. And it's going to be specifically talking about negotiating as you're going through the interview process. I see way too many people not negotiating or not even knowing that they can negotiate as they're going through the interview process. Yet these are the same people that kill themselves throughout the year to get a 1 or 2% raise on their salary. But before you get the job is when you have the most leverage to increase your salary. Because once you get an offer from a company, they really want to hire you. You think about the hundreds or thousands of hours the recruiter has spent trying to find one candidate. You think of all the hours they had to pay engineers to actually interview another engineer. So it's going to cost them, tens of thousands of dollars to find another candidate if you end up rejecting their offer. Now, there are going to be two main places where salary is discussed. And this is going to go for probably like 90% of the places you apply to. So the first time is going to be during your first interview with your recruiter. At some point, they're going to be asking you what your expected salary range is for this position. And the second time is going to be when you get an official offer, which we will discuss later in the video. So during the recruiter call, you want to already have a range in mind. When I used to interview, I used to not even think about this, and it really caught me off guard when a recruiter asked me. And I would just kind of panic because I would be scared to say a salary that's too high in fear of them just being like, nope, and hanging up on me. So I ended up voluntarily lowballing myself. So this is definitely something that you need to think about beforehand. Now I'm going to show you guys what your range should be. I want you guys to think of the lowest salary that would make you jump for joy. So let's say you'd be happy with a salary of $90,000, but if they paid you, let's say $105,000, that's something that would make you jump for joy. So I want you guys to take that number, let's say it's 105, and subtract 5,000 from it. So now 100,000 is going to be the lower end of your range. Now I want you to take that number and multiply it by 1.2. So that's going to give us a value of 120,000. So the next time a recruiter asks you for your expected salary range, you would say between 100 and 120,000. I think one thing to mention is that you shouldn't be afraid of your recruiter or telling them that a salary that you think might be too high. First of all, you should really be thinking of your recruiter as your friend. They're going to be the ones that are rooting for you to get the job more than anyone else that you interview with, because they'll probably be getting some kind of commission off you getting the job, or they'll meet their quota to get a bonus at the end of the year. So you should be really open and honest with your recruiter. The next thing I want to mention is that you should avoid giving a salary to anyone but the recruiter. If anyone else besides your recruiter asks you for an expected salary, deflect the question. You should say something like, I would feel more comfortable discussing that later in the process, or I would like to know a little bit more about the position before I give out a number. Now, if a recruiter asks you for your salary, don't initially give your range away. A trick that I learned that I thought would not work, but has worked every single time, is ask them what the expected range is for that position. And one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to give you a range that's lower than what you're expecting, or it's going to be equal to or greater than. So how it would go is they would say, hey, what is your expected salary for this position? How I would respond is, could you actually give me a range of what you guys typically offer for this position for someone with my experience level? And then let's say they say, oh, we typically offer 90 to 100,000 for this position. How you would respond is, I really appreciate you sharing that information with me. I'm actually looking for a range closer to 100 and 120,000. Now, if they say a range that's within your range or even greater than, then you should just say, I appreciate you sharing that information with me. That's on par with what I'm looking for. Because I've had interviews where I was going to say my range, but the range that they came back with was actually higher than what I was asking. So if I initially said my range, I would have been lowballing myself. Now, the second time that you're going to be discussing salary is when you actually get the offer. So how it's going to go is the recruiter is going to call you. They're going to say, congratulations. They're going to say, we'd like to extend an offer out to you. And then they're going to give you the details. Now, the offers can vary between different companies. You're going to be getting some kind of base salary. And then some companies might offer you a sign-on bonus. They might offer you some stocks that vest over several years, and some companies, usually startups, might even offer you some equity in the company. And all of these add up to be your total compensation for the job offer. Now, most likely, a lot of you aren't just going to be interviewing with one company. You're going to have several interviews going on at the same time. And most likely, they're not going to be all lined up. So you might get an offer from one company while you're still waiting to do an on-site interview with another company. So if you do receive the offer phone call while you are interviewing for other companies, don't give a definite yes or no to the recruiter. The first thing you want to do is take out a pen and paper and write down all the details of the offer. Let the recruiter know that you are really excited about the opportunity. Ask for the offer in writing, and let them know that you do need time to look over the offer before you make a final decision. Now, a lot of times the recruiter will try and get a definite yes from you. They want you to sign the offer as soon as possible. It's okay to actually let them know that you are interviewing with other companies and you're waiting to hear back from them. Now, the recruiter might come back and say, no, we need to know an answer by like the end of this week, or we need to know like pretty soon. This is what's called an exploding offer. And this is actually what I think is a huge red flag from a company if they give you an exploding offer. I think it's very reasonable to ask for an extra week or two to make a decision. If they give you a hard deadline of like 1 or 2 days, just let them know, say that's, I'm currently interviewing with other companies and that's just not enough time for me to make a decision. So after you do get the offer letter, obviously read over it and calculate what your total compensation would be. So let's say your total compensation comes out to $180,000 per year, and say that you want to get to like $200,000. This is something that you would want to mention to your recruiter the next time you speak with them. You could say something like, I realize the total compensation is $180,000. I'm looking for something more towards $200,000. Is that something that would be feasible for you? And most likely they'll be like, oh, well, we thought the offer that we gave you was on par with what you were asking for. And they're kind of always going to say that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when you are negotiating, they are more likely to go up on either like a sign-on bonus or stock bonus than they are for base salary. Just because with sign-on and stock, it's a one-time thing, whereas salary, they have to keep paying you that amount every year. So when you are negotiating with the recruiter, say, I think we're really close. Is there any way we can go up in like a sign-on bonus or a stock bonus? And if we can reach 200,000, then I'd be ready to sign right then and there. And then at that point, the ball is in the recruiter's court. Usually they'll say, I have to talk to the hiring manager and get back to you. So I think the most important thing is that you shouldn't be scared to negotiate. I hear a lot of people saying, well, the offer was good enough, so I decided to accept it. Or, I didn't want to start things off on a bad note by asking for more money. And I personally don't agree with that. If you guys are watching this video, you are most likely trying to learn how to negotiate. But, if you are happy with the offer and you don't want to negotiate, then that's on you. But it's definitely something that takes a lot of practice. It's not easy to ask for more money. I think one thing that could be helpful is doing mock interviews with someone, like have a friend or someone interview you and practice negotiating, asking for more money. But yeah, this is all information that I didn't really know when I started interviewing, and kind of knowledge that I gained as I was going through the process. So I just wanted to share it with anyone who is going through that same process. So yeah, if you guys did like the video, please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and supporting me, and I will see you guys in the next video.